Right. Today I want to talk a little bit about the lessons I learned in my life, and that is, yeah, I am a person who is very, very serious about make every minute counts, sort of a guy. I want to make every minute counts by, yeah, just to do something. And I set a lot of goal in my life and simultaneously at the same time. So I want learn finance, learn coding, and learn digital arts. I start multiple companies, also take care of my son, and for the past few years I have to take care of my mom, and I have to save money, and I just ride a bike like 10 kilometers a day, like one trip from home because um, my son got kind of you know pretty um, yeah medical condition that need constant taking care of. So I have to shut down multiple companies, and you know kind of like a full-time job to take care of my son while recording videos for you guys. And for the last few years, my mom is sick in the hospital and fighting with cancer, and I have to daytime take care of my son and do a little bit of work, and then ride the bike and 10 kilometers to the hospital to take care of my mom, and all the way to nearly 12 o'clock in the middle of the night, and then ride all the way back to home, and then rest, and next day take care of my son. At the meantime, my amazing wife, I'm really grateful for you if you're watching. Yeah, and if my son is watching many years later, do take care of your mom. Your mom is great, um, amazing woman, and she's kind, and she's very supportive through all this hard time, and I'm grateful all my life. And so I'm a really anxious person because I want to cherish every minute of life, every seconds of my life. So before all that, I set up a lot of goal. I set up really high standards, and as a young person, I think I have so much to achieve, so much to experience in life, and I don't want to waste any minutes, any seconds of it. And there is the last few years, I began to realize that you don't need to make every second like productive. Okay, and here's the thing that I learned about um, the emotion of or the feeling of anxious is because you want to do something, but you don't have the ability to do something. That's unable to do something even though you want to do make you feel anxious. Maybe because of the environment, okay? Maybe the time doesn't permit you. Like for the past few years, time doesn't permit you to work like full time. Um, just simply, yeah, can't permit, and or maybe your physical condition um made it impossible for you to do all these things because after you fulfill the responsibility in your life, you may feel exhausted. Okay, I feel exhausted for the past few years, and um, and then I began to realize I'm like not a superhero. I'm just a normal. I'm only human, right? So you have to give up in your life. You have to give up some of the dreams, some of the ambition, some of the possibilities. To be honest, in your life, in order to take the responsibility, right? I need to take care of my son. My son go to the hospital. Um like uh yeah, I accompany my son, um like call the ambulance and go to the hospital, like really emergency situation multiple times. And I still remember the first time um he's having that condition. And I thought I thought him is choking. And in fact, this is kind of choking because of the it's like a seizure that blocking the air pipe. So I try to clear it. And because it's like kind of seizure. And he nearly like bite my finger off. And because in hindsight, it's not a good way to deal with this kind of condition in emergency. I don't want to talk too much about it. I'm not a doctor. But in hindsight, I panic. Yeah, I panic. I thought I'm going to lose my son at that moment. I've never experienced a condition like this. I have no medical background. Later, of course, I have researched a lot and know how to do this. And I'm like fully prepared at home. And I even give up like home my career to take care of my son as well as my mom. So yeah, but at that moment, I began to realize that you're only human. You can't make everything perfect, and you have to give up something in order to fulfill the responsibility, as well as you know take care of the ones that you love. And you sort of like prioritize things. And when you actually doing this mental calculation of which part of your life is like more important and the other part is less important, so you have to give up like one by one. It's hard. It's hard. I'm not saying that I'm doing that you know pretty happily, like giving up all that. But it's necessary. And it is, I think it's a step that you have to, if you are watching this, my son or my grandson, I'm not sure, or any other friends in the world, you have to. That's what I love. You have to like step, take that step, in order to be mature, in order to be a man, a grow up, rather than a kid. Um, Even though I got beard and um, like grow strong like physically, but still, I think mentally I'm still a kid. Um, just a few years ago. Um, but at least the act of selfishness, the act of like prioritizing things and give up things, um, like give up the dreams. And that moment is just when you actually mature. And and I have no regret of doing this, because I am doing my best to cope with hard life. And I I protect my loved ones, my family, for as long as I can do. And yeah, that's a story of me. And the lesson that I learned is that I'm like, before all that, I'm already under a lot of pressure. And I'm like a person who is always anxious and setting myself a lot of high standards in my life. So when life put more pressure on me, I began to grow more and more anxious, and that leads to like sleepless night, insomnia, and my health condition like just grow worse and worse. I stopped going to the gym. I try my best to like work out, but I just don't have the time. Yeah. So um, yeah. So I began to realize that you have to give up something, and that's what I did. I closed multiple companies, and I just doing projects at home, record some videos for you guys, um, pursue digital arts rather than some codings or finance, and the job that require me to um, like go out and have a business trip all the time, something like that, and yeah, just to become family centered. And but even though I give up a lot of things, I can cope physically, but mentally I still feel very anxious. So I began to like read a lot of and listen to a lot of like podcasts or like YouTube videos, something like that about how to cope. I seek religions for help. I seek um, science for help, and I seek like within myself, like in yourself for help. And then I began to realize that most of the most of the anxious emotions just caused by me, by myself, because as long as prioritize things and just use your pure logic to think it through and give up something. So for example, this is what you can cope physically, and this is the thing. Okay, there's a thing that you're facing. You have to give up something so you can actually cope. Or maybe you're going to like, I don't know why this kids just give me a lot of heart. I'm not I'm not hardening, but it doesn't really matter. It's a nice surprise. So you just need to reduce that, or maybe reduce it even more so you can cope. And but that's just physically you can cope, but mentally, like inside, you may still feel a little bit anxious. So after all this self help that I began to seek from religion, from psychiatrist, like self psychiatrist video on YouTube. I don't have the money to actually hire a psychiatrist to like talk to them. Yeah, and I learned something that completely changed my mindset. That is, you're only human. You don't need to like make everything perfect, and it's not like exam in your life. It's not like everything that you do in your life you have to reach like there is like 100 score in life. There's like no score system in life. Sometimes you just you do it, you try your best, or maybe you don't try your best. That's okay. Okay, and you don't need to feel ashamed or feel anxious about it or regret after you have done it. As long as you're not regret about the thing that you did, I think that's okay. And another thing that I learned is that you can only do the thing that you can sort of control. So I I'm a pure like a logic person, okay, and I always do this like problem solving mentality. So anything happen in my life, I just want to solve it. Okay, it's like I'm grew up a typical Asian family. I did a lot of that exam. Okay, so I treat everything happening in your life like a test. I have to solve it using the best method. But then I realized that you know, not everything can be solved. Okay, sometimes things are just out of your control. I read a lot of articles, research about cancer when my mom first got it, and I read a lot of research and articles and all that, like everything. And I use like AI to do the research. I use like Excel to like plot things, and using machine learning, I try to like try my best to like solve this. Of course, about my son's condition. But later I realized that, come on, it's a cancer we're talking about. Like the smartest guy in this world haven't been able to like solve this, and have no medical background, so there is like no way for me to handle this problem, the problem as big as this. I simply can't solve it. So for my like previous life, I've been always been like a problem solving person. So yeah, I solved the problem somehow, more or less. I solve problem even though it's not 100. Like if there is a score system, even though it's not 100, I get like 70, 80, maybe 90 of of this problem. But that's the problem that I can't solve. And began to realize that there are problems in life that you can't solve. And in life there are a lot of things that you can't solve, and a lot of things you can't solve immediately, right? So for example, kids, if you're watching, in life it's not at school. Okay, it's not a assignment after assignment. You solve one assignment, you can go to have a party, and you can travel, you can just forget all about it. In life, when you like work, or if there are some major things that happen in life, or some some issues like personal issues, relationship issues, all that, it's not like problem when you solve it and then you can forget about it. It doesn't work like that. This world doesn't work like that. We humans tend to create a more structured, more organized world, but in fact the world doesn't work like that. And that's what I learned. And so not everything, not every problem can be solved or immediately solved and then you can forget about it. Sometimes the problems constantly exist, and you have to sort of coexist with the problem. And through all these years, I began to realize that the only thing that you can do is the thing that you can do. I know that's a mouthful, but just hear me out. You can only solve some parts of your problem. Okay, so that's sort of like a combination of the solution provided by religion, by psychiatrists, by science, by everything that I experienced. Because you are only human, you are not, say, a god. Okay, you can't possibly solve everything. You can't possibly like weigh everything on your shoulder and try to solve everything. You can't do that. You're only human. So just, you know, leave some part from like spiritual and religion point of view. You have to like weigh the part that you can't solve, or you can't understand, or you can't do anything about this, like random things happening in life. You have to take this weight off your shoulder and do the things that you can do, and leave the rest to God, or whatever higher spiritual higher being that exists in this world, or in like traditional Asia culture, there's like a higher being. There is like a logic that this world works, and so just take off the weight and let the system work. Okay, let God do this work. You don't need to weigh everything on your shoulder, and you can't possibly do that. And once you realize that, you begin to classify things in your life. I began to realize that maybe this I can't handle. And all these things that you can't handle, maybe 90% of things that isn't caused by you, isn't controlled by you, isn't changeable by you. Okay? So these things I can handle. Okay? And this thing I can handle may not change like the outcome. Um, my mom still passed away, but it's a great achievement, I consider. She doesn't suffer that much. Just a few last of her days. She feel pain, but she just, you know, fall into coma. She didn't suffer, and that's a great achievement, I think. Um, when she discovered the cancer, is already at the terminal stage, right? The doctor said she can only live for 3 or 6 months, even with the treatment. She lived for nearly like 3 or 4 years, and she didn't suffer much. Um, and enjoying, surrounded by family. Yeah, that's yeah. I won't go to that too much of detail because it's still pretty fresh, and you know, I think human got a coping mechanism that when the grief or the emotions too great, you will just seal it up completely, and for the rest of the time you peel that and let it go, let it out a little bit, so you can handle it. You can't do that at at once because you will just crash. You can't handle that emotion. So if you don't feel anything, you if you feel, of course, everyone cope differently. If, for me, I just feel numb. But for a pretty long time, I feel the grief, just little by little. I think because of the coping mechanism, the emotions just too great. I have to do that, like maybe for the rest of my life, just little by little. Okay, so just completely seal it up. So I don't want to go too detail about this. So back to what I learned is take the weights that you can't do anything about. That's just the system's work, the logic's work, the higher being's work, the God's work. Just take it off your shoulder and focus on the thing that you can do. And that is the thing that you can only change or do better about. And once you get a weight off your shoulder, you'll feel that, hey, just one, two, three things we can do, and I will do it. I will try my best to do it. So I won't regret that I already like give me the best I got. That's what I learned. So I consider this lesson to be a step of me actually mature. I give up a lot of things. I no longer feel very anxious about wasting life. Does 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 this day count as a meaningful day, as productive as I can be? I prioritize things. I give up the things that I can't cope physically, mentally. I give up to deal with the things that I can't control, and to single out things that I can do, I can change, I can control. I will do my best, and just don't worry about anything else. And yeah, that's what I learned. Um, yeah, so I think this already like 30 minutes. So thanks for your time, and see you in the next video. Okay, thanks. Bye.